So I'm here in my office, and as you can see, it's a disaster. I have stuff all over the floor. So I've actually planned out having a 2-foot by 4-foot shelf system here on this wall. And that's what I'm going to be building with you today, so let's get started. So I took a 4 by 8 foot sheet of plywood and I cut 4 2-foot shelves out of this. So on plywood, the edges are real rough, so I've got this glue-on edging. It's called like melamine or melamine, something like that. But it's got glue on the back that activates with heat. So I just come up here and tear off a piece. It tears pretty easy, but it definitely makes things nice whenever been painted. So I've just got a hot iron here. Just stick that down. Melts that glue. And then I just come back and make sure it's all lined up here. Pushing fairly hard to get that to stick down. And then just go over it one last time, pushing pretty good. Okay, I'll let that cool for just a bit, and then I come back with a razor blade and I trim off those edges. To shave this, I just take a razor here and just lightly shave off the edge where the product just hangs over just enough that it's not 100% smooth. I went up to my local hardware store to get some paint, and all they had was an oil-based black. So it's going to take several hours for this to dry, and of course I've got to put a second coat and the bottom's got to be done. So if you can find some paint that's not oil-based, definitely make things a little bit faster. Excuse me, Your Majesty. I know that's the best place around, but it's about to become really sticky. I had really never used oil-based paints before this project, and it definitely has quite the odor to it. So I would recommend using this kind of paint outdoors. Now for the support system, I'm going to be using this metal piping. I bought this online, so it's much cheaper than going to, say, like Lowe's or Home Depot. But I just found a few various pieces here, and because my shelves are going to be 2 foot by 4 foot, I decided to go with a foot difference here between these. So let's get a tape measure and measure out the exact centers between here and here, and see where we need to cut the wood that was painted. 13 3/4 inches. So the pipe I'm using is 1/2 inch. So I've got a 7/8 inch bit here. So that pipe will be able to slide through the hole that's generated by that. So to put those legs between the wood here, I'm going to come over 8 inches and then come up 5 inches, and I'm going to put my first hole right there. And just to make sure I've got it right, I'm going to get these off here again. 5 and whoops. Let's see, I'm going to go 8 here. 8 and 5. All right, I'm going to level this up. I feel this pop through, I'm going to flip it over so it doesn't break through the wood. There we go. Go ahead and flip this over. Plenty of mess to clean up. Alright, let me get that pipe and see how well it fits in there. Now that the first hole is put in here, I'm going to use a tape measure from the very center of that hole and come back 13 3/4. Just to make sure we're on the right track, I stuck this piece down in here and those holes seem to line up quite nicely. So I think I'll continue drilling these and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I've got that first shelf totally drilled through. So I'm just going to set these in here to here. And I'm going to set this thing up. Yeah. Now I kind of expect this to be a little bit wobbly until we get the supports in. But I figured I'd at least just get this up and we'll try it out. Oops. Excuse me, ma'am. All right. There we go. It's looking good so far. There's shelf one. So I'm going to take the next set of pipes here and attach those. Get all 4 of these on. Now I may come back later with this other piece here and attach a connecting bar for a little bit more sideways support. But for now, I'm just going to get these on here and we'll worry about that later. So to avoid the light switch over here, I've made this shelf really small, and then for the top shelf I'm going to use these long poles to support that because I really want to have this kind of as a workstation with clearance enough that I'm not going to be hitting my head. So let me get these screwed in here. The top shelf does not need holes. I'm going to use these floor flange to attach that shelf, and it's just going to be screwed in here from the bottom. So we get those on here. Now for the last shelf. I'm going to get this thing set up top here. Now, just like with the other ones, I'm going to use my tape measure and try to get this middle pole 8 inches from each side here. Looks good. I'll need to come back a little bit. So I'm just screwing these in now, making sure it's 8 inches from the side and 5 inches from the front. Good. Now we're pretty much done except for anchoring this to the wall. Now I've got this piece here, 2 flange, I think these are 2.5 inch pipe, and then 90 degree here. And I've aligned these holes straight up and down, and the top ones don't matter. But I'm going to find a stud and then anchor this to the wall. So got my super cheap stud finder here. Alright, so I've got a stud right here that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to simply stick this right here, and then I'm going to screw this in using some 2-inch screws. Sometimes my stud finder doesn't find a stud right away, so hopefully we'll get this in here. Alright. I think we had success on that one. Try this top one up here. Which is actually going to be too hard to get to, so I may have to unscrew this piece to get to that. And the shelf is done. Let's take a look at it. So I left room over here for this plug, and so we got room to store things 1 foot tall down here on the floor, 18 inches tall up here, and then that's maybe, I don't know, 5 inches on that little shelf. A nice work surface up here. Can do lots of stuff here. And then come up 3 feet and have a nice top shelf up here for the last little bit of storage. And I only put one of these here as support. It seems like it's really, I mean, this thing is not going anywhere. So I had purchased enough to put one more down under here, but I don't think I need it. So let's talk about the cost of this thing. I paid $35 for a single sheet of plywood, and then that edging, somewhere around, I don't know, $10 for that. Paint I actually paid 30 bucks for, but I didn't use but just a tiny bit, so paid way too much for that. Now the pipe was definitely the most expensive, but bought this online, so almost every component was $1 or $1.50. I think these right here were the most expensive. The 24-inch pipe, that was like $3 a piece. So to be honest with you, this thing came out to under $60, I believe. So I mean, for all that storage, and it's customizable to fit your own space, so I'm definitely pleased with it. And got close to this light switch over here, but I think that'll be just fine. So let me know what you think about this. Pretty simple build, I think, and should give me plenty of storage here in the office. And I'm going to really enjoy this work table here. 2 foot by 4 foot should give me plenty of options. Maybe even put my laptop up here. If you have suggestions, comments, thoughts, please write those down below. And remember to subscribe if you haven't already for future videos. And hit that thumbs up button. It brings my videos up in the search and helps out a lot. Thanks for watching. I'm Seth Johnson with Land House, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.